All right, welcome inside the Tiger Kickoff Show, early morning edition. We're getting going here a little bit earlier than our scheduled time, just because we want to bring you Mizzou football coverage just a little bit earlier. We're talking Tigers, Mississippi State, 2-2 all time as they get ready for matchup number 5 in their career history here in the SEC. I'm joined by the wonderful Missourian beat crew and Adam Busak, Davis Wilson, Amelia Hurley. They'll be making the trip down to Starkville in just a couple hours-ish, days. I have to ask you a question, though, Davis and Adam and Amelia. Around this time of year, we're entering Christmas territory. We still got Thanksgiving. You see the Christmas lights start to go up. You hear the Christmas music starting to be played. I just want to know, by your standard, do you think it's wrong to be playing Christmas music and doing Christmas activities before Thanksgiving? Adam, we'll start with you.
Davis, you and I are going to have very similar takes here. It's absolutely wrong.
Okay.
You got to wait until at least Black Friday. At least Black Friday.
So,
if you're not, I personally try to refrain until December the 1st, but
Yeah.
I understand some people like to get at it a little bit earlier than that. I think any Christmas activity before Thanksgiving is a tragedy.
I'm right there. I'm right there with Adam. I find it very disrespectful to Thanksgiving to start celebrating Christmas before Thanksgiving even ends. I usually go for the December 1st start date for Christmas time things, but sometimes I'll, get into it a little bit early. But that's still after Thanksgiving, after Black Friday. You have to respect the holiday.
Thanksgiving travels a little bit. It's not like Christmas where it's on a set date on the
Right.
25th. So sometimes there's a little bit of fluctuation there between
Sure.
Thanksgiving and the 1st. So does that determine for you when you start celebrating Christmas, or is it always like
I don't
December
care.
rolls around, I got 25 days?
I don't have an exact day. I don't care as long as it's after Thanksgiving. Just wait till Thanksgiving's over and then you can get into it.
All right, that's fair.
fine.
And then Davis will personally start celebrating when he feels the Christmas spirit.
Right, yeah.
Feel all warm and
Whatever
fluffy.
that is.
Amelia, are you the same way, or do you think it can be okay to listen to Christmas music before the turkey stay?
Yeah, Jacob, I'm the same way. I personally don't even really listen to Christmas music all that often. I think because my family as a default on their Alexa at home will just play it 24/7, so I will never electively choose to play it. But yeah, we usually put up our tree and everything. Some of my family likes to do it the night of Thanksgiving. I prefer to wait till December 1st, but I know that there's a difference in opinion there.
So when people give the argument, it's all about the Christmas cheer, it's about spreading love and joy, why wouldn't you want to start that sooner? What would be y'all's answer to that? Because I'm with y'all. I think you got to give the turkey its due. But what would your answer be to that statement?
I mean, Davis said it best, right? You're putting the cart before the horse. You're being disrespectful to Thanksgiving, I think.
I think Thanksgiving's an all-time holiday.
Absolutely. It's my personal favorite.
Yeah.
I've got Thanksgiving at 2. Thanksgiving is my second favorite. Christmas at 1.
Yeah.
4th of July at 3. Big 4th of July guy.
Okay.
Halloween was higher as a kid, but it's down there. Got into a very intensive debate with someone about this the other day. I will not list who, but let's move over here and start talking a little bit about football. You want to talk about a football holiday. Thanksgiving is your all-time football holiday. I know they play on Christmas, but when you think Thanksgiving, you think football as well. And as we're moving into this week, there's 2 Thanksgiving-ish matchups for the Missouri Tigers, and they're their last 2 matchups of the year. You've got Mississippi State coming up in a couple days, and then you got Arkansas. We're talking about Mississippi State here. Again, the last time these 2 teams played was the pandemic in 2020, and it was a really surprising upset for Mississippi State. Adam, can you tell us a little bit more about that game in 2020?
Yeah, it was Missouri coming off of kind of a big emotional win over Vanderbilt in their second to last game of the season, 41-0. It was the last shutout for Eli Drinkwitz until the opening game this season. And Missouri was riding high, went down to Mississippi State. They were carrying a 5-4 record. Remember, they only played 10 games that season, but they were carrying a 5-4 record in the college football playoff rankings, looking for maybe a pretty high-flight bowl game out of that COVID year in Drinkwitz's first season at the helm for Missouri, and just came out looking completely flat against, frankly, an inferior Mississippi State team. This is something that new starting center Drake Heismeyer talked a little bit about in the press conference earlier this week, just saying that he thought that his team back in 2020 maybe put too much stock into Mississippi State's record and didn't respect them for the team that they were. It's a trap that Missouri can fall into again this year. They're going to try hard to avoid it because Mississippi State, once again, is a team that doesn't have a phenomenal record. They don't really have very many good wins. But at the end of the day, you can't overlook any SEC team, right? We saw Alabama slip up against Vanderbilt earlier on this year. You can't overlook any team. I think Missouri is going to have to do very well to respect this Mississippi State squad, especially on the road in Starkville. It might be a little bit of a closer matchup than a lot of people are expecting.
Yeah, and a lot of SEC teams have had those slip-ups this year. Even Tennessee slipped up with Arkansas, who Missouri will play in just a week following the game in Starkville. I want to go back to your point about Mississippi State's record, because like you said, it's not great this year either. They're 0-6 in conference play. They haven't picked up an SEC win. They're 2-8 overall. They're last in the SEC. Davis, how did the Tigers avoid overlooking this Mississippi State team like they may have done in 2020 and learning from history?
Yeah, well, hopefully, memories of the 2020 game is enough for Missouri and Drinkwitz to, be ready for this game. I think it is a big game for them. They still have a chance to win 9 games, 10 with a bowl if they can do it. So they have to win out, and I think it would be a really encouraging response from the team after a kind of taxing loss at South Carolina last week. So, you'd hope that a loss last week and a loss in 2020 to a worse Mississippi State team is enough to have this team fired up to play.
Speaking about that loss, trying to get back on the winning track, feeling a little bit better again. Missouri, they haven't lost 2 games in a row. I believe it was 2 years was the statistic that Mr. Busak here tweeted on his Twitter. Go follow Adam Busak on Twitter. I believe King Bus, right? Is that the page? A lot of good insider information. All 3 of these guys got good stuff on there. How do Missouri Tiger fans and the Missouri Tigers kind of get that bad taste out of their mouth in South Carolina out in Starkville this week, Amelia?
I don't even know that everyone has a bad taste, to be so honest with you. I think a lot of Tiger fans are really happy with the performance that the team put on the field last weekend. And no, it didn't translate into a win, and I know that was really upsetting for a lot of people. But when you think about it, this is the first time the team has really looked like a cohesive unit, at least on offense, all season. I think it was the best game that they've played all year by far, and even against those non-con teams at the beginning of the season. So I think that it's not really even a bounce back. It's a let's keep this momentum, let's keep it going, and let's have it translate into a win by cleaning up those small mistakes like we saw the defense have on that last drive. They didn't have that, it could have been a win. So if you can clean up those small errors and keep that momentum, that motivation going, I think that's going to translate into a good game.
So you said it was the first complete game for the Tigers. How do you translate that into Mississippi State, a team that, unlike South Carolina, is not ranked and your playoff implications are not on the line?
Well, you got to just keep the morale going with the team. I think it really comes down to Brady Cook being back on the team. No, he wasn't 100% healthy, but he really had that momentum going. He was able to bring that kind of leadership back into the team. Not to say that Drew Pine wasn't able to do that, because I think that he did really improve against Oklahoma. I just think that having Brady Cook in there is really going to help bring that unit back together. And we'll get into this in the preview in just a couple segments, but Mississippi State's defense is not all that great. This is going to be a time where the Tigers really have that room, that mobility to be able to get that momentum, get those explosive plays going, bring back that offense that all the fans are looking for.
Let's talk a little bit here about Mississippi State. You just mentioned rough defense so far this year. What have you seen on tape from this Mississippi State team, and how can the Tigers kind of look to exploit that, Adam?
Yeah, I think the first thing that really jumps off the page at you, frankly, is that this is a Mississippi State team that isn't coached phenomenally well. And that's kind of an issue that has plagued Mississippi State for a little while now. Obviously, Jeff Lebby, not super long tenured at Mississippi State, but somebody that was a former offensive coordinator at Oklahoma when Oklahoma had some offensive struggles. So he's not somebody that really has figured out quite how to get this offense to click yet. I think they're starting a redshirt freshman at quarterback who has shown some flashes, but at the same time, it's a redshirt freshman, right? There's still a certain degree of inexperience, a certain degree of Missouri, a team that has a lot of 5th-year, 6th-year seniors on defense, I think can kind of feast on the experience here, and that's really what's going to be the key for Missouri this week.
Last week, we talked a lot about redefining expectations after the Tigers were officially eliminated from playoff contention. How do the Tigers continue that trend of sticking with their new goals for the 2024 season here in Starkville?
Well, they have to win. They have to win this game. They have to win every other game on their schedule in order to get to the 9-win mark, and then the bowl game can get you to 10, like I said. And I think that's still a really good season. years ago, Missouri fans would die for a 9-win season. So I think that it just, you have to win this game and get back on track and give yourself a chance to salvage the season a little bit.
All right. Well, the players are the ones that will be salvaging that season. So our next segment right here, we got our friend Little back. Who's cooking? All right, welcome into Who's Cooking. We got Pine the Owl, officially named from 2 shows ago when Drew Pine delivered a wonderful win to the Missouri Tigers, 3 for 3 touchdowns. So we named our favorite little Who's Cooking Owl after him. And by now, at this point in the year, if you've been paying attention, you know the rules. Adam Busak starts us off. He holds the Owl of Power in Pine. Everyone else is quiet. He tells us what player is going to boom. And later on, what dish the Tigers are cooking against Mississippi State. Leave it to you, Adam.
Jacob, I think that this last week against South Carolina was maybe the worst game that this Missouri secondary has played all season long. They really need a return to form. You can't let the top be blown off on every single play. You can't give up as many big plays as Missouri did last week and expect to win the football game. I expect the corners in Norwood, in Pride, in Deloach to all look better. I expect the safeties to give them a little more help than what we saw last week. I'm going with that defensive back room as who's cooking this week. And as for what they're cooking, donuts. Putting zeros on the board.
Oh, wow.
Right.
My first dish, before I switched to mine after a great conversation with Davis Wilson, was going to be donuts. I was going to say munchkins, though. Yes. We're at the time of year where donuts start to taste really good. Yes.
I don't know if I'm familiar.
Munchkins? Like the tiny little donuts?
Donut holes.
Oh.
Donut holes?
Donut holes.
Is that a Midwest thing called munchkins?
No, it's a Dunkin' Donuts thing they call them.
Is it?
Yes.
Is it really?
Dunkin'.
Is that an offensive term? Munchkin?
I mean, I thought that was pretty universal. Is it not?
Well, you taught me something.
Oh, you know what? This is a learning show, Davis. I'm glad we can learn here together.
Yeah.
Your
All right,
player.
well, yeah, I'll take over from here. I'm going to go with Luther Burden because I think we finally saw a big play, a really big play in the clutch between him and Brady Cook. It really didn't end up mattering, which I'm sure is eating at them both. They just a heroic 4th down touchdown, deep ball.
Legacy moment.
Legacy moment turns not legacy moment in less than a minute. I bet him and Brady Cook are both pretty upset about that. They want to go out and do something special against Mississippi State, so I'm going to take Luther Burden. And let's see what I'm going to cook. I'm going to be doing a nice pulled pork sandwich because I think Missouri, no matter what, it just needs to pull out a victory in Starkville. And I know they're like their barbecue in Mississippi.
I see where you're going for. Yes, that's Southern Mississippi barbecue. They got good stuff down there. Amelia.
Yeah, so I am going to go with Nate Noel. I think that after being plagued with a foot injury the past few games and not really being as involved in the game as possible, I think with this defense that Missouri is going to be facing against Mississippi State, they're not really good at stopping the rush. I think that he's going to be able to have an explosive game. He's going to be able to get a lot of points for the team. And as we saw from last game, he really had a great game. I think he had over 150 yards last game, so I expect him to see or have an explosive game again this week. And as far as my food, I guess I'll give him like a 5-hour energy. He's going to be on the field a lot. I think he's going to need to keep that energy up, keep it going, get that speed going.
Yeah, maybe a 5-hour energy for y'all as well. I mean, this is This is road trip number 4 on the year for y'all.
Yeah,
5, isn't it?
4 or 5?
I believe this is
5. Yeah, because we had to go to UMass for a non-conference game.
Yes,
True.
number 5. So maybe if you're watching the Tiger Kickoff Show, you get these guys some energy, so they're able to make it there. Adams, he's already twitching. He's tweaking from the long trips. I originally was going to go with Nate Noel as well, just because of the performance he had last week, and Mississippi State team that has not guarded the run well this year. Their secondary has been weak this year. Nate Noel's a guy that once he gets into that second level, he's going to extend plays. Like Amelia mentioned, over 150 yards on the ground last week. I'm going to change things up, though, just to keep it fresh. I'm going to go with a specific player in the secondary. I'm going to go with Travis Johnson. I saw him last night at the Olive Garden. He does tip very well, so shout out to Travis Johnson. I'm getting him back here on the Tiger Kickoff Show, but the Tigers secondary, they were very turnover hungry in the first 4 weeks of the season. They started all 4 games with an interception. They've kind of got off that schneid a little bit since then. I think they get back on it here. I think they'll be able to pull one out. Travis, I'm rooting for you, man, to take home an interception. My dish here is going to be something we haven't talked about yet. We haven't covered.
Is it going to be pasta from Olive Garden?
Oh, man. It should be. I had so much last night, Adam. I had so much. Fettuccine Alfredo. Say it wrecks the gut, though. I'll tell you that. The fettuccine Alfredo, it does. But my dish is going to be salt and vinegar chips. And here's the thing why. You can go with any chip here. The reasoning behind the chips is after last week, after having your goal of making the playoff cut off, I don't think you can win by enough here to make you feel good about yourself. So with potato chips, you can just keep eating them and eating them and eating them and eating them. You won't be full. I think the Tigers could put up 120 points and still be trying to score the football. So I think it'll be that way with Missouri. They're going to go out there. They're going to go out with a vengeance. They're going to be playing to put points on the board and show fans and show the NCAA that this Tigers team isn't going to go away. They're not going to go down easy, and that they deserve to be in a high-level bowl game. So I think no matter how many are on the board, the Tigers are going to want more, and that's how I feel about salt and vinegar potato chips. Yeah. Thank you for watching Who's Cooking. We're going to move over to our keys for the game right now. We'll start with you, Adam, as to what you think the keys to this one will be.
Keys to the game for Missouri, I think, run very similarly to what I just had for Who's Cooking, which is they just have to eliminate those big plays on defense. I think Missouri's offense, to Amelia's point from earlier, had one of their best games of the season this past week. I don't think there's too many issues with the offense in general, especially the offensive line. I think they played very, very well. But the defense, frankly, let Missouri down last week, and it was all in that secondary. So if they can return to form this week, I think that's going to be the key for them.
Davis?
Yeah. Let's go ahead and establish the run on offense. Let's pound the rock, and then let's run some play actions, pull it, let Brady Cook throw it around. I think if you get the run game going with Nate Noel, the rest of the offense opens up.
I think you might have heard that statement from every coach in history of the game of football.
Yeah. Establish the run.
But there's a reason for it, right? And Missouri's done a good job of it this year. That's the formula to beat teams that you're supposed to beat. And Missouri has beat the teams that they're supposed to beat this year. South Carolina was a favorite against the Tigers as well. So that's the formula. You stick with it. You run the football. Nate Noel, he can run the football. And you work off it from there, especially when you have a quarterback that's banged up as Brady Cook is. Yeah. When you're able to give those handoffs and breaks for Cook and then keep him in the pocket, you disrupt the pass rush, and you're able to hit some big plays over the top. Amelia, what are your keys?
You know, I think the past few games that Missouri has been in, they've all been defensively dominant showdowns. And I think this is the first time in a while we're going to see a showdown that's dominated on offense. I think Missouri's team is going to be able to keep that momentum going. I think the biggest key is really going to be from the coaching perspective of keeping the playbook open. I feel like we saw a lot more of those bigger plays and then more of those just connectivity aspects in the offense last week, and I think that has a lot to do with the players being healthy, but also just the playbook felt more open and fluid. So I think if you can keep that going and also just try to take some risks in this game, this is going to be a game that, frankly, I expect Missouri to be quite comfortable in. I don't expect them to be taking this as a trap game and not really preparing for it, because I think that coming off of what should have been a win last week, there's no room to really be cocky in that way. You're coming off of a loss. Keep it going. So I think this will be an interesting game. I think it's going to be more creative than the others, I would expect, at least from play calling perspective, and I think it'll be a good game to watch.
I think it all starts with the offensive line. If you can keep Brady Cook healthy, in the pocket, comfortable, good things will happen from there. When your O-line's playing well, they played really well in the second half of the South Carolina game. Really clean pockets for Brady Cook to make throws, especially on big downs, third down, fourth down. Obviously, the 4th and 5 was perfect protection. He was able to step up in the pocket and launch that and just make his star player make a play. to Luther Burden on that 38-yard touchdown. So the offensive line here is huge, especially against a Mississippi State team that doesn't have an SEC win, that has struggled to get to the quarterback this year. You keep Cook clean, you keep him upright, you hand the football off. You should win this football game. It's going to take mistakes. It's going to take Missouri overlooking a team like they did in 2020 in order for Mississippi State to take out a win against the Tigers. Because simply, Missouri was ranked the 6th best team in the nation this year at one point in time. Now we found out they're not the 6th best team in the nation. But they're ranked at the 6th best team in the nation for a darn good reason. It's because they had a lot of talent coming into this year, and there's still a lot of talent on this football squad. Now, is that talent top 10? No. Is that talent top 12 in the college football playoff? Not at this moment, and won't be this year. But they're still a top 25 football team in the eyes of the college football playoff, and Mississippi State does not have an SEC win. So I think the Tigers will end up taking this one if they do those things correctly. Let's move over into how much the Tigers will take this, or if anyone has a sneaky surprise with Mississippi State in our score predictions. Adam Busak, you had a little smile there on the sneaky surprise. Does Mississippi State pull it out?
I hate to burst your bubble, but no, I'm not rolling with Mississippi State on this one. I think Missouri wins this one. I think they win it in quite convincing fashion. I think they have a bad taste in their mouth from last week, and I think they're ready to take that anger out. 38-14 for the Tigers.
I think you've got a bad taste in your mouth last week after having your incorrect pick and tying me at 2 losses so far this year, Adam.
What do you have to say about that?
I have nothing to say about that.
Okay.
Davis and Amelia in the leaderboard. I believe only one incorrect pick so far this year, correct?
Sure. I think so. Yeah. Sure. All right. Let's see. I think I have Missouri 31-21, and I think it's not going to be that close. I think Mississippi State probably gets a late touchdown on the board or something, but Mississippi State's offense actually has been able to put up decent points in a lot of their SEC outings. It's just on the defensive side of the ball, they're pretty atrocious. So Missouri's going to have a chance to score a lot of points, and I think 31-21 is a decent spot for them.
Yeah.
I expect to see Missouri's offense generating a lot on the field. I think they're going to have a really strong game like we've talked about. So I said 31-17. It's really kind of same as Davis. I'm just assuming there's not going to be that late scourge like at the end of it. But yeah, I think Missouri's going to be able to run all over the field. I don't think that they're not going to prepare as hard as they have for every other game for this one, or that they're not going to do that, just because I think coming off of last week, at this point, Mississippi State has nothing to lose with no SEC win. You don't want to let them take advantage of you, and that would just be the biggest blow of the season. So I don't think they're going to let that happen.
Now, this is SEC football. If we've learned anything this year, anything can happen in SEC football. But this is about as sure thing as a sure thing is when it comes to SEC football. Mississippi State, again, last in the conference. You have a Tigers team that played well against South Carolina, but they lost. So they're going to have a little fire in them to come back and not stack losses on top of each other. I've got the Tigers winning this one 34-13. Here are our final score predictions on the board. You can see me and Adam there at 8-2, and then these two geniuses right here, and Davis Wilson and Amelia Hurley at 9-1. If things finish out here, these two will tie. We'll have to go back and look at the score predictions to see who's closer on the year, get the average of both. So some math involved here, tough for this journalism major, and figure out who our crowned champion is, unless someone has a surprise pick for Arkansas next week. That'll be something to keep an eye on as we preview and review every single week here on the Tiger Kickoff Show. It's winding down. We're getting close to the end, which is sad to say. I do have one last question before we wrap up for y'all. And that is your favorite type of donut. We were talking about the munchkins, which apparently are known to Davis as donut holes. Maybe I'm in the wrong here. You guys can always let me know in the comments. We'll start with you, Adam, what your favorite donut is.
I mean, you can't go wrong with any donut, frankly. But I'm a big fan of a strawberry frosted donut.
Okay, cool.
A little pink frosting, come on now.
I like the strawberry frosted ones.
I like the. Do you guys know the old-fashioned like?
Oh yeah.
Those are probably my. Favorite
Oh yeah,
ones.
with the little
like nothing
raised
on it.
ridges.
Yeah, the ridges. Yeah,
Yes.
those are.
I don't
The
know if
I'm a
I've ever
very
had
big
one
fan.
of those.
I'm a big fan of those.
Really?
They're very
Okay.
delicious.
Is it the French something or
it's almost like a cake consistency rather than a donut, and it's excellent. That's my favorite.
I'll have to try one.
Yeah, you know what? Get yourself one.
Maybe I'll bring them into the next show, Amelia.
I feel like the basic answer for me would be glazed, but I'm going to go a little niche. In St. Louis, obviously gooey butter cake is a big thing. And from where I'm from specifically in St. Louis, Kirkwood, they have this place called Strange Donuts that comes up with the most obnoxious donut combinations. And Kirkwood's kind of known for that. And my favorite thing there is a gooey butter cake donut. It's really freaking good. So
Sounds excellent.
I would say that.
I'm all for that all the time. As a kid, my answer would have been the what was it, like the Long Johns? It was like the vanilla Long John. Like after church, always eat one of those. I think I've evolved now a little bit, especially in this fall mood. I got to go with the pumpkin donut right now. Apple cider donuts are a strong running for that as well. You get like the little like sprinkles on top. Oh, it's so good. I love apple cider donuts. Had one from an orchard the other day. It was fantastic. But that's all our time here at the Tiger Kickoff Show. Hope you enjoyed the discussion of donuts, football, and more. Again, preview, review, you know the drill. One last thanks to our Missouri beat reporters, Adam Busak, Davis Wilson, Amelia Hurley. This is Jacob Siciliano, wishing you a good Thursday morning and a rest of your weekend.